Dealing with Wanda Joy would have knocked the wind out of a lesser woman, but Mary Dell was not so easily felled. She decided to regroup and make the most of her day. After all, she reasoned, the chances of C.J. Everett actually reading that letter was slim to none. Obviously, the editor left that sort of thing to low-level secretaries or mail clerks. If not, Mary Dell wouldn't have gotten all those form letters. Well, she'd learned her lesson. That was the last time she'd ever waste time submitting patterns to a big magazine. No matter what Grandma Silky said, the world was clearly not in need of a quilting legend at this time, at least not a legend cut from Mary Dell Templeton cloth. Quilting was fun, she told herself, a nice hobby. But she'd been foolish to think it could ever be more than that. Her ranch, this town, this life, this was what she knew and probably all she ever would know. And really, what was so bad about that? There were a lot of people who would have loved to trade places with her. The only thing that mattered now was Howard. She had to care for him and provide for him, and given the limits of her experience and education, making a go of the ranch was the only means she had of doing that. Howard was still tugging at his ear, so Mary Dell drove over to the pediatrician's office to see about making an appointment. Her timing couldn't have been better. There had been a last-minute cancellation, so Dr. Nystrom, a kind and grandmotherly woman in her early 70s, who had been Mary Dell's doctor when she was little, was able to see them right away. After peering into Howard's ear with a lighted otoscope, Dr. Nystrom said, "Yep, looks a little red in there. Not too bad, but I'll prescribe an antibiotic. Children with Down syndrome can be especially prone to ear infections because their ear canals are smaller, so this is something we want to stay on top of. You should make sure he sees an audiologist on a regular basis." "I know," Mary Dell answered. "We've got an appointment at the hospital in Waco next month." "Good," the doctor said, smiling as she bent over Howard, moving his little arms and legs. "Other than the ear," she said, sounding pleased and just a little surprised, "he looks great. The heart sounded good, weight gain is fine, and for a child with Down syndrome, his muscle tone is pretty good." "The physical therapist at the hospital taught me some exercises. We go through them at least twice a day, sometimes more." The doctor nodded approvingly and placed a finger into Howard's palm and smiled when his own tiny fingers wrapped around hers. "No digestion problems?" "We had a few problems at first, but I read an article about infant massage and how it can help. Seems to work." The doctor chucked Howard under the chin and then handed him back to Mary Dell, who cradled him in her arms. "Well, whatever it is you're doing, keep doing it. You're a good mother. I'm not surprised. Taffy was just the same way with you and your sister." "She was?" "Oh, sure," Dr. Nystrom said as she went to the sink and washed her hands. "Did you know that your mama was one of my first patients when I opened my office? She was just a teenager then, and in a lot of ways she hasn't changed much. But Taffy always wanted to fit in, be popular. Well, all girls that age want that. But Taffy didn't figure out that she should have been a little more careful about making sure the girls in town liked her as much as the boys, until it was too late. She was just a teenager when she pulled that stunt and stole away Marlena's prom date. And teenagers do dumb things, but—" Dr. Nystrom sighed. "You can't unbake a cake once it's in the oven. Taffy paid the price for her foolishness. And so did Nudie Benton. If you ask me, I think Marlena married him just so she could punish him till death do them part." The doctor chuckled as she turned off the faucet. "Anyway, Mary Dell, don't be too hard on Taffy. She loves you and your sister. And she loves this little baby, too. Believe me, she does. Did you know she came in to see me last month all alone? Made a special appointment and asked me to explain Down syndrome to her so she could help you with Howard." Mary Dell swallowed hard to keep from choking up. "She did?" The doctor nodded as she pulled a sheet of paper.